Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're diving deep into history, exposing the darker side of famous figures we grew up admiring. These are the people history books painted as heroes, saints, or icons. But have you ever wondered why their flaws and misdeeds are so often left out of the story? The truth is, history is often written by those in power, shaping legacies, protecting reputations, and sometimes hiding the darkest secrets. In this video, we're pulling back the curtain to reveal the real stories behind the legends. Get ready to question everything you thought you knew about history's heroes. First up is Christopher Columbus. From elementary school on, Columbus was portrayed as a brave adventurer who discovered America. The truth, though, isn't as rosy. Columbus never even set foot in what's now the United States. Instead, he landed in the Caribbean, where his actions sparked a nightmare of violence and oppression. He enslaved indigenous peoples, subjected them to unimaginable cruelty, and triggered mass genocide. Columbus himself documented horrifying punishments like cutting off limbs for minor offenses. So much for being a heroic explorer, more like a brutal colonizer. Columbus's arrival marked the beginning of centuries of exploitation and colonization, leading to the near extinction of many indigenous cultures. The long-term consequences of his voyages are still felt today, as indigenous communities continue to fight for their rights and recognition. Now let's talk about Mahatma Gandhi. He's practically synonymous with peace and nonviolence. And yes, Gandhi did achieve remarkable things, like leading India to independence. But beneath that peaceful facade lurked troubling realities. Gandhi had bizarre practices, including sleeping naked next to young women, sometimes even his grandniece, to test his resolve in celibacy. He also encouraged his female followers to bathe him and share intimate spaces, claiming it was a spiritual exercise. These actions shocked many of his contemporaries. Some of Gandhi's closest allies, including his longtime secretary and several prominent women in the movement, openly criticized his experiments as manipulative and damaging. The controversy over Gandhi's private life has sparked fierce debate among historians and activists, raising difficult questions about how we remember even the most celebrated heroes. Not exactly behavior you'd expect from a spiritual leader. Next, Mother Teresa, the symbol of compassion and selflessness. Well, brace yourself. While Mother Teresa undeniably helped bring attention to poverty, many people don't realize how problematic her practices actually were. Her clinics and hospices, despite receiving millions in donations, were often overcrowded, unhygienic, and lacked basic medical equipment. Medical professionals who visited reported reused needles, a lack of painkillers, and untrained volunteers making critical decisions. Dr. Arup Chatterjee, a physician from Calcutta, and other critics described the facilities as homes for the dying rather than places of healing. They noted that patients often received little more than spiritual comfort with minimal medical intervention. Meanwhile, Mother Teresa herself sought advanced medical treatment in Western hospitals, highlighting a stark contrast between her care and that of those she served. Globally, her work sparked heated debate. While many praised her dedication, others, including prominent medical journals, questioned the ethics of her approach and the true impact of her mission. Critics argue that Mother Teresa's real mission was spreading religious doctrine rather than genuinely alleviating suffering. Thomas Jefferson is often celebrated as a visionary founding father and the principal author of the Declaration of Independence. In his writings, Jefferson eloquently proclaimed that all men are created equal, championing the ideals of liberty and justice that would shape a nation. Yet, in his personal life, Jefferson owned more than 600 enslaved people at Monticello, relying on their forced labor to maintain his estate and lifestyle. Among them was Sally Hemings, an enslaved woman with whom Jefferson fathered several children who, like their mother, remained enslaved for most of their lives. Jefferson's contradictions were not unique for his era. Slavery was deeply entrenched in American society, and many leaders who spoke of freedom also perpetuated bondage. But his failure to reconcile his lofty ideals with his personal actions exposes a profound moral conflict, challenging the myth of Jefferson as an unblemished hero. Now let's move on to Winston Churchill. Churchill is often praised as the fearless leader who guided Britain through World War II, but his darker legacy is often glossed over. Churchill oversaw catastrophic policies and actions in British colonies, including the use of brutal force to suppress uprisings in places like Kenya and Malaya. During World War II, he redirected food supplies away from British-controlled India, leading directly to the Bengal famine in 1943, causing the deaths of approximately 3 million Indians. His refusal to send aid, even as reports of mass starvation poured in, made the crisis even worse. He also strongly opposed Indian independence, and his racist views shaped his decisions on colonial governance. In Kenya, Churchill's government authorized the use of concentration camps and torture during the Mau Mau uprising, devastating local communities. So yeah, Churchill's halo might be tarnished after you look past the surface. His decisions left deep scars on millions across the British Empire, from India to Africa and beyond. Finally, we come to Walt Disney, the man behind your favorite childhood characters, the epitome of imagination and wholesome entertainment. But Disney himself wasn't exactly Mickey Mouse. Multiple former employees accused him of anti-Semitic attitudes and discriminatory practices. Animator Art Babbitt, for example, described Disney as cold and distant and claimed he fostered a culture of fear in the studio. During the famous 1941 animators' strike, Disney labeled striking employees as communists and spies, even going so far as to personally identify supposed agitators. He reported some of his own staff to the FBI, contributing to a climate of suspicion and blacklisting that ruined careers. The effects were lasting. Many talented animators left, and the studio's reputation among artists suffered for decades. Disney's actions shaped not just his company, but also the broader culture of Hollywood labor relations, leaving a legacy as complicated as it is magical. So, there you have it. 6 historical figures whose public images were dramatically at odds with reality. But history is not set in stone. The way we view these figures often changes as new information comes to light and society's values evolve. Re-examining the past is crucial. It helps us understand not just what happened, but why it happened and how those events still shape our world today. Public perception can shift dramatically over time, turning celebrated heroes into subjects of debate and scrutiny. That's why it's so important to approach history with a critical mind, questioning what we're told, seeking out multiple perspectives, and being open to uncomfortable truths. Who else do you think deserves a closer look? Share your thoughts, and let's keep the conversation going in the comments. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the hidden sides of history's most celebrated figures. Today, we uncovered how even the greatest heroes have complex and sometimes troubling stories behind their legends. By looking beyond the surface, we gain a deeper understanding of the past and why it's so important to question, investigate, and learn from it. We encourage you to share your thoughts in the comments below. What surprised you most, and which stories would you like us to explore next? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss our deep dives into history's darker truths. Stay curious, and we'll see you in the next episode.